There are three bad houses in astrology: 6, 8, and 12. And out of these, 6 is the worst of all. The reason being, see, these houses are bad houses because they carry the karma from your past life. And let me tell you, the ninth house stands for your past birth. Okay, and if you consider ninth house as the lagna, then obviously the sixth house becomes the uh, the karma bhav. So whatever karma you did in the last birth becomes the sixth house in your current birth. Okay, so if the sixth house is strong and you find that you don't have any disease, you don't have many enemies, and you don't have much debt, so all that is because of the good karma that you did in the past birth. Okay, on the contrary, if you see that the sixth house is weak, occupied by malefics, and such is the condition, then you will, it's because of the bad karma that you did in the last birth. Okay, because sixth is the 10th house from the ninth house. Okay, so if you consider ninth house as lagna, then the sixth house becomes the karma bhava. Okay, now the other two houses, the 8th and 12th houses, these are actually not malefic houses, they are kind of neutral, but it totally depends on the perspective. From the materialistic perspective, 8th and 12th houses, they are malefic. From the spiritual perspective, these are good houses. So that's why they are in general a neutral house, considering the average from both the worlds. Now, from the materialistic perspective, you see that the 12th house stands for letting go of things that you identify with. So, your lagna is your body, your 12th house is letting go of your body. 12th house is letting go of all the things that you identify with. 12th house is for donations that you do. 12th house is for giving away the things that belongs to you. 12th house is for sleeping and dreaming. Okay, in that state where you basically let go of your I-ness. Now this letting go could be a bad thing from materialistic perspective. Okay, if somebody is not interested in donation, not interested in giving donations, but he has to give donations, then it is a bad thing. It is a, he will think of it as a loss. So it is not good from the materialistic perspective. But from the spiritual perspective, it could be one of the biggest pleasure that one has. Now see, if you consider the ninth house as the lagna of past birth, then from the ninth house, 12th house is the fourth house. Okay, if you consider ninth house as the lagna, then the fourth house is the 12th house. Now see, fourth house stands for the direction that one takes in the last birth. So if somebody has uh, a good direction, good sense of direction in the last birth, then that shows up as a 12th house in this life. Okay, so what it means is precisely that when somebody aims for the moksha, it is not the effort of just one birth. It should have been birth of last several births. Okay, so in the last birth, if you were inclined towards moksha, okay, then that will show as the fourth house from the last birth, and that will appear as the 12th house in this birth. So if you have a good direction, a good spiritual direction in the last birth, then it will show up as a something tending towards moksha in this birth. Now come to the 8th house. 8th house is very, it's a occult house. Okay, It's house of occult sciences. It's house of sudden gains, gain from heredity. Now, it is something. See, seventh house. See, Lagna is yourself. Seventh house is others. Okay, so consider it like this. Let's say, very objectively, you are the only subject in this world, and you see the whole world objectively. So, whatever belongs to you is shown in the second house. That's your wealth. Seventh house is everybody else. Rest all the other people in the world. And whatever belongs to other people, that is the eighth house, because it is second from seventh. Now, the wealth of others, suddenly if you receive wealth of others, then that becomes the eighth house. Now, where does this eighth house come? See, just now I told you, ninth house is the last birth. So 12th from ninth house becomes the eighth house. So whatever donations, whatever done, whatever things that you let go of in the last birth, that comes back as a sudden, as a inheritance, as somebody other's property to you. Okay, so that's the house of sudden gains. So let's say you win a lottery, or you suddenly get a lot of inheritance from your spouse family or from your family. Then all these things have been actually the donations that you did in the last birth. So that's how the connection between the past birth and the current birth is done. So one has to look at the sixth house, the eighth house, and the 12th house to study what he has done in the last birth. That's the karma that he did in the last birth that he is going to enjoy in this life. Now, the main portion. With respect to Kalpurush Kundli, one has to see the houses that are falling in these houses. For example, let's say somebody is Libra Lagna, the sixth house is Pisces, eighth house is Taurus, and the 12th house is Virgo. Now map these houses to the Kalpurush Kundli. In the Kalpurush Kundli, Aries is the Lagna. And with respect to Aries, Pisces is the 12th house, Taurus is the 8th house, and Virgo is the 6th house. Now you have to see the second house, 6th house, and the 12th house. So 2, 6, 12. These houses, when you see in your own Kundli, that will show the secret of the last birth. That will precisely show the karma that you are born to do.